Al-Falah University, a name that you might have heard of many times across social media, across the national media, now has turned out to be one of the most controversial universities over the recent past. Now, the news of the law is definitely tightening up on Al-Falah University. The Enforcement Directorate late last night has gone ahead and arrested the trustee or the founder of Al-Falah University, Jawal Ahmad Siddiqui. He has now been taken into custody by the Enforcement Directorate for the next 13 days. But the findings that have been found by the Enforcement Directorate, that is something that is absolutely shocking. Al-Falah University, who was operating as a university from 2014-2015 itself, was able to gather more than 450 crores of rupees through non-donation fundings, which means that students were actually paying their fees to Al-Falah University, and in a matter of 10 years they were able to collect 415 crore rupees. But the entire point is that Al-Falah University was not an university on paper. The NAC accreditation that it talked about was false. The UGC accreditation that it talked about was yet again false, and that is something that is being investigated by both UGC and NAC itself. And due to this accreditation that was shown on their social media platforms and on their website, it has very clearly come out that somewhere or the other they were trying to go ahead and influence students into joining their university and then collecting fees from them. And this eventually has been termed as proceeds of crime. Where was this money used? This money was not used for the development of students, but this money was eventually led and sent out of the country, eventually getting back into the accounts of Al-Falah University. So there were several layers of shell companies, several layers of monetary transactions that were undertaken by the Al-Falah University, so that this 415 crore rupees that has initially been found out by the Enforcement Directorate, that could be charted out and then eventually returned into the accounts of the trustees of Al-Falah University. The Enforcement Directorate, in its arguments in front of the court, has very clearly stated that Al-Falah University has put the future of thousands of students at stake, because the prime of these students was wasted in a university that was not even legally bound to give any sort of degrees to them. If at all any sort of degrees have been given, these degrees actually do not hold any value at this point in time. Al-Falah University has been found as one of the university that was working as a guise of a university, but was probably one of the locations where a lot of money laundering was happening. On whose cost? On the cost of the students who were studying over there. This entire expose that has been done by the Enforcement Directorate has actually put the lives of all those students who are either studying in Al-Falah University, who are studying in colleges which are affiliated to Al-Falah University, who have graduated from Al-Falah University. All their futures are now at stake. Remember, this name had come up after the terror nexus was found out that it was operating from Al-Falah University, within Al-Falah University itself, and then the Enforcement Directorate took up this entire matter to actually figure out that how suddenly a university or a dispensary, which was a dispensary approximately 10 to 15 years ago, has now turned out to be a massive university which expands more than 70 acres of land in Faridabad. How did they get their hands on this land? Who were the people who were funding it? From where was the money coming in? From where was the money being used? All these questions still remain unanswered, and the Enforcement Directorate is of the view very clearly that this amount of 415 crore rupees that was collected through fees of students, this could actually increase by multiple folds, because there are several layers through which the Al-Falah University has been able to go ahead and launder this entire money, and that is the reason why a PMLA case has been registered by the Enforcement Directorate. Raids were conducted yesterday, and now the trustee of Al-Falah University, Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, has now been taken into official custody. As the investigation goes further, it remains to be seen what kind of action would be taken by authorities like the UGC and NAC, on whose name the future of so many students is now at stake. And it is definitely going to be very interesting to see that how much money has been laundered by the so-called university, from where did the funding come, where did that money go. All these questions remain unanswered, and that is something that is being looked into by the Enforcement Directorate.
fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.